So my name is Artricia Woods, and this is your exam prep crash course. We're going to just be talking about what you need to know to pass the exam. This is my name. This is our 800 number. If you press extension 1, you'll get me, and you can leave a message directly for me. If you need to speak with someone specifically, press extension 2 and you'll get Dean. You can also send text messages to that number as well, and I get a lot of students, they just text me questions all day long. So if you see me checking my phone or things of that nature, it's because I am actually returning students' messages. My email address is here. You can email me. I told you guys about the Facebook study group, and then this is the website. You guys should be able to open the book and actually follow me. So go ahead and find this page in the book as well. So go ahead and find this page. This page is our disclaimer. It's just to let you know that our information is copywritten, because we do find that a lot of people take our information, copy it, pass it out. I went to a convention, they were just selling them $5, $5, $5, still have my name on it, and they were just selling them. So the information is copywritten, so you guys, we have to let you know that going forward. Go ahead and find this page, and this is where we're actually going to get started. Now, there are 6 steps that it takes to get licensed. You need to know these steps because these are the 6 steps it takes to get licensed, but you also need to know these steps because they're going to test you on your knowledge of these steps. So the first thing you have to do is get your NMLS number. By now, everybody in here should have had their NMLS number. I want you to highlight where it says unique identifier. Unique identifier. We call it our NMLS number, but that's slang. The correct name for it, the official name for it, is unique identifier. You need to know that. I don't want you to get it wrong on the exam because they said something about the unique identifier. That's just your NMLS number. Now, this number will be tied to you for the rest of your life, just like your Social Security number. It has to be on all your advertising. It has to be on all your literature, your business cards, things of that nature. If you are also a real estate agent, make room for it. Take a look at my cards on your way out, and you can see I have my broker number, but I also have to have my NMLS number on all advertising, okay? On all marketing, things of that nature. Now, this number will appear on the following documents. You ready? The NMLS number or unique identifier will appear on the following documents. The 1003 loan application, promissory notes, mortgages, and trust deeds. So I'm going to say that again because they're going to ask you, where would the NMLS number or unique identifier number appear? It will appear on the 1003 loan application, promissory notes, mortgages, and trust deeds. It will not appear on appraisal reports. So again, they're going to say, in which of the following documents will the NMLS number appear? On which of the following documents will it not appear? You need to know where it will appear, where it will not appear. You also need to know that NMLS number and unique identifier, those are the same. The next thing, it says complete 20 hours of pre-licensing. Highlight the 20. Complete 20 hours of pre-licensing. Everyone has to complete 20 hours of pre-licensing. You also have to complete 8 hours, write that down, of continuing education each year once you get licensed. I'll talk about that in a minute. 20 hours of pre-licensing before you can get a license, but once you're licensed, you have to do 8 hours of continuing education every single year. It's not like the real estate where you have to do it every 4 years. For this one, you have to renew, and you have to do 8 hours of continuing education every year. Once you've completed your 20 hours of pre-licensing, the next thing you have to do is take an exam. Make sure you're taking the correct exam, the national exam with UST component. National exam with UST component. UST stands for Uniform State Test. UST stands for Uniform State Test. That means you can take one exam in all of the other states that have adopted the one test philosophy, and there's only 2 states now that have not. That means you will be able to do loans in those states once you pass this exam. You'll know it's the correct exam because it's $110, but it's the national exam with UST component. Make sure you know what UST stands for. Uniform State Test. Take one exam and you'll be able to do loans in multiple states. I'll show you a map a bit later of all the states, but as of right now, as of last week, there's only 2 that require a separate test. Now, once you pass the test, you have to complete what's called your individual application. It's called an MU4. Highlight MU4. That is the name of the individual application that each person must complete. They're going to ask you, what is the name of the individual application? It's called an MU4. And just for your own knowledge, that application fee is $330. You don't need to know that for the test, but you need to know that for your pocketbook, right? $330. So it's expensive to get this license. It will be $700-800 before you finish with all your schooling and everything. You don't want to exasperate that by having to take the test over and over and over again, because each time you take the test, you got to pay to take it again. So you want to be able to pass the test the first time. If not the first time, the next time. You definitely don't want to keep trying this over and over again. Once you've completed your application, or as a part of your application, you have to do fingerprinting, live scan. And a lot of people say, well, I've already done a live scan because I'm a notary, because I'm a policeman, because I'm a fireman. It doesn't matter. They want their own. You can't skip that step. You're going to do live scan. I believe it's either $29 or $39, but that's a step that you can't skip. And then the last step is you're going to have to pay for a credit report, and that's like $19. That scares a lot of people because they think, oh, what if I have bad credit? What if I have late payments? What if I have foreclosures or any of that? That's not going to stop you. The only thing that I've seen that have stopped someone, and I've been doing this for going on 8-9 years now, is very large IRS tax liens that you don't have any type of payment plan or arrangements with. If you have IRS tax lien, doesn't mean you're not going to get it. It just means, are you working with the IRS? Or are you running from the IRS? If you're running, they're not going to give it to you. If you're trying to work it out, you will get it. But they do pull your credit report. A lot of people think they have to have a certain credit score. That's not how it works. It's just part of their process. So these are the 6 steps that it takes to get licensed. You're going to get your NMLS number. You have to complete your 20 hours of pre-licensing. Once you do that, you have to take a test. Once you pass the test, you do your application. It's called an MU4. You're going to do your fingerprinting, and they're going to pull a credit report. It's done in this particular order. Any questions on anything on this page?
The paperwork for the live scan is...
When you go in to complete your MU4 and online, the paperwork for the live scan, it's going to be in part of the system. And what you have to do is you're going to pay for it online, and then they're going to ask you for your zip code, and they're going to tell you all of the approved places you can go near your zip code. Got it?
What's MU?
I don't know what the M stands for. They don't really tell us. But you have an MU1, an MU2, an MU3, an MU4. On the exam, and we just want to make sure you pass the exam, they're going to say which one is the one for your individual application. And you need to know that that's an MU4. Like MU1 is for a company. MU2 is for a branch, things of that nature. But the individual application, MU4. That's what you need to remember for the exam.
Is this how it's spelled out in regards to the question on the test and the NMLS number? 203 notes, mortgages, trustees?
It could be any one of those.
Maybe one of those.
Any one of those. There's over 4,000 possible questions.
Yeah.
Those are the different documents that the NMLS number or unique identifier number could appear on.
When I think of the mortgage, I think of the trust. So is that what
Trust deed. Mm-hmm.
Trust deed?
Mm-hmm. Now, next slide. You have to pass the test with a score of 75% or higher. Highlight that. They're going to ask you what is the passing score for the exam, and people are putting 70. That's the real estate exam. This is the mortgage exam. The passing score is 75% or higher. If you fail the test, you have to wait 30 days before you can retake it. They're going to ask you that. If you fail the test, how long do you have to wait before you can retake it? 30 days. So highlight that. If you fail the test 3 times, how long do you have to wait? If you fail the test 3 times, 6 months. Who wants to do that? Okay, and remember, you're paying $110 each time. Over there where it says 6 months, I want you to write 180 days, because they could ask it that way. Now, to keep your license current, once you're licensed, you have to do 8 hours of continuing education every year. Highlight that. 8 hours of continuing education every year. And it must be completed each year by December 31st. Highlight that. So don't get it confused, because a lot of the questions are scenario based. They give you a lot of stories. They can do continuing education anytime during the year. It could be January, it could be March, it could be April, but it must be completed by December 31st. Do you understand that? It doesn't have to be the last part of the year. Continuing education can be done any year. Although most schools don't start offering them to the second half of the year, it can be done anytime during the year. Now, this next one confuses people, so we want to make sure you understand it. When does your license expire? To answer that question on the test, when does your license expire? The answer is December 31st. Every loan originator's license expires every single year on December 31st, unless they renew during the renewal period. You need to know what the renewal period is, November 1st to December 31st. If you got your license during that renewal period, it won't expire on December 31st. But say if you got your license in January, it expires December 31st. Say if you got your license in April, it expires December 31st. Renewing your license, meaning paying them money, is $330 a year to renew every single year. You can only renew during the 60-day period of November 1st to December 31st. Every loan officer in the world, I just did mine this week. Doesn't matter whether you're here, Connecticut, New Jersey, Hawaii, every loan officer in the world has to give them $330 during this 60-day period. Can you imagine their bank account for this 60 days? That's how they actually do their budget, because they know you have to do it. You can't do it early, and if you do it late, it's going to be almost double that. Okay? And there's tons of loan officers in the world. We all have to give them $330 during this 60-day period. So for the exam, you need to know what the renewal period is. November 1st to December 31st. If you got your license during that time, you don't have to renew. You're grandfathered in. But say if you got your license in October and you paid $330 in October, you still have to pay it by December 31st. So you guys are not in this particular class in that situation, because we're already in November. You're in that particular period.
And how much is that?
$330.
So
Let me go ahead and finish this one, and then I'll take questions. So the next one says your license is valid for 5 years. Highlight that, because that's how you're going to answer the question. How long is your license valid? Well, the answer is going to be for 5 years. What does that mean? Does that mean after 5 years I need to do all of this again? No. It means if you go 5 years without renewing, 5 years without giving them their money, then you have to start all over again. So what if I just went 1 year without renewing, 2 years without renewing, 3 years without renewing? My license is still valid. It's just not active. Well, how do I get it back active? I have to pay the renewal fee for the prior year, not all the years that I missed, just the prior year. And I have to do continuing education for the prior year. Then I'm back in the game. But if I let 5 years go by, I have to start all over again with the 20-hour, the background, the test, everything. If you never want to take this test again once you pass, don't go 5 years without giving them their money. Do you get that? Any questions on anything on this page?
yes, you said grandfather in from November 1st to December 31st. If we basically pay it.
If you get your license during the period of November 1st to December 31st, it's not going to expire on December 31st, because you're getting your license during the renewal period.
Okay, so that's all it means. We still roll back that the following year, December 31st.
Correct. Go ahead.
If your license is inactive but still valid, still can.
You can't do anything. Your license is not active. Okay, it just means that, so if your license is inactive, it just means you still have a period of time that you can reactivate it without starting over. But if you let 5 years go by, start all over again. Background check, test, 20-hour class, all that stuff. Go ahead.
How long is the 20-hour class valid for?
How long is the 20-hour class valid for? 5 years. How long is your test results valid for? 5 years. I have people that have passed the test and they still haven't gone through and done their MU4. Well, after 5 years, you're going to have to do it all over again. Okay? Because they're just not ready. They're just not ready. It's good for 5 years. Now, a lot of times people have done their 20-hour class 2, 3, 4 years ago. They never took the test. They don't have to do the 20-hour class again, but the information is old. You're not going to be able to pass the test with what you learned from back then. You have to take an updated crash course because this test has changed probably about 7 times now. And it's going to be changing again the first quarter. So you guys want to get this information, take this test, pass this test, be done with it. Got it? Now, when you go to take the test, it's 100% computerized. You will know before you get out of that chair if you pass. You'll be sitting there like, do I press the button? Do I press the button? Because once you do, boom, pass or fail. The people in the front would know as well. Either you're going to walk out and they're going to be like, hey, high five. Or they're going to be like, okay, thank you, see you later. You know, try to avoid you. But you would know right then and there if you passed or not. Take your driver's license or ID in there with you. They're pretty strict on that. Don't bother taking a calculator because you have to use theirs. There has been so much cheating. People have secret codes in their calculators. They had one, they showed us a video. A lady was just pulling up her skirt and it's just written on her leg, things of that nature. They don't even let you go to the bathroom by yourself. Someone goes with you. Okay? They don't go in the stall with you, of course, but they go in there with you to make sure that you're not doing any cheating things of that nature. So they're pretty strict about that. The test is 125 questions. 10 of them are questions that they're practicing out. You're only scored on 115. 10 of them are, I call them, like they say, fake news, Trump. I call them fake questions. But you have no idea which 10 those are. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm just going to try to figure out which questions are real and which ones aren't. Who cares? Just try to get them all right, regardless of what they are. But you really only scored on 115 of them. They give you 3 hours to take the test. It does not take 3 hours to take the test. Okay? But they give you 3 hours. It probably takes about an hour, hour and 15 minutes if you're prepared. But when you go to take the test, what happens is a lot of people see that they have a lot of time left, so they keep going through it over and over and over again. That's not good either. I suggest that when you go take the test, you go through it twice. Twice, okay? The first time that you go through it, only answer the questions you 100% know. There's a button that says skip questions. Use it. When you go through that test the first time, if you look at it and you know it like the back of your hand, 20 hours this, 8 hours this, some things you will know. Answer all of those and keep track of what you know. For anything else, skip question. If it's a lot to read, it's a math, don't do those the first round. I went through my whole test, and back then it was only 100 questions, and there were 64 that I just knew like the back of my hand. Then you hit the button that says return to skip questions. They don't get harder. They don't change. There's some myth out there like they'll make them hard. No, they're the same questions. Then you hit the button that says return to skip questions. That's when you sit back in your chair. That's when you look at the screen, pray on the question, rub it like you at the casino, whatever the case may be. But that's when you worry about it. But at that point, either you know it or you don't. Pick an answer and move on. It doesn't make sense to go through the same test 5 times. It's not going to help you, and it's going to confuse you more than anything. Like I said, I had one person that she went through it 5 times, and every time she went through it, she changed something else. She was so mixed up by the end that, of course, she didn't pass. So don't do that. Any questions on anything on this page? All right, so here we go. This is where I want you to have a separate sheet of paper to the side to take notes. Do not try to write all your notes in between these little bitty lines on this screen. There's a possible 4,000 test questions. You're going to get 125. You have no idea 125 you're going to get. But a lot of them are the same questions asked over and over in different ways. So I start all my classes out with this things to remember section, and then we'll get into some specific things. This first line, let me read it first, and then I'm going to tell you what I want you to highlight. If an application for credit, could be credit for a house, car, boat, doesn't matter. If an application for credit is denied based on the appraisal, ECOA, which is Regulation B, says the borrower has 90 days to request appraisal and the lender has 30 days to deliver it. Highlight ECOA, Regulation B, highlight 90 days, and highlight 30 days. If an application for credit is denied and they say it's based on the appraisal, ECOA says a borrower has 90 days to request a copy of the appraisal. And when they do, a lender has 30 days to deliver it. There's about 30 questions that they come up with from this one particular line. This is how they do it. What law says the borrower has 90 days to request a copy of the appraisal? Well, there are three possible answers. One is the Equal Credit Opportunities Act. Another is ECOA. And if they're using letters, another one is Regulation B. Same question, but three different ways that they can ask it. What law says the lender has 90 days to deliver it? Equal Credit Opportunities Act, ECOA, Regulation B. 6 questions. How many days does the borrower have to request a copy of the appraisal? If they're using numbers, 90. But what if they're using months? 3. How many days does the lender have to provide it? If they're using numbers, 30 days. If they're using months, 1 month. 10 questions. But it's the same thing. Do you see what I mean? It's not 4,000 different questions. It's just the way that they manipulate the questions. Circle the word appraisal here. Circle the word appraisal. And on top of appraisal, I want you to write value. Value. If an application for credit is denied based on the value, because what does the appraisal give you? It gives you the value. My 10 questions just what? Turned into 20. Now, another way that they ask this that's not so obvious, and I want you to write it in your notes, they're going to ask you, which regulation allows the borrower to challenge the value stated in the appraisal? So I'm going to say that again. What law or which regulation allows the borrower to challenge the value stated in the appraisal? And I want you to go back and either underline or highlight the words challenge the value. Those are buzzwords. Whenever you see challenge the value, I want you to think ECOA, Equal Credit Opportunities Act, Regulation B. Because if you get denied and they say, well, it's because of your appraisal, what's the first thing you're going to want? Let me see a copy of that appraisal. So ECOA, Regulation B, allows the borrower to challenge the value stated in the appraisal. And then they'll go through that same series of questions. How many days do they have to challenge the value? And if they challenge it, how many days does the lender have? That way, my 20 questions just went up to 30. But it doesn't matter if you know, and this is why I don't teach question, answer. You need to understand why the answer is the answer. So in case they ask it to you in a different way, you'll still be able to figure it out. If an application for credit, could be credit for anything, an application for credit is denied, and they say it's based on the value, which is the same thing as saying it's based on the appraisal, ECOA, which is Regulation B, says the borrower has 90 days to request a copy of the appraisal. And when they do, the lender has 30 days to deliver it. That's just the rule. Regardless of how they ask the question, that's just the rule. Got it? Now the next one. I gave you guys a list of acronyms in your packet. Go ahead and pull that out. I call it your cheat sheet. It's a list of acronyms. I want you to find on there ECOA, on there in the E's, and highlight it. Find ECOA. Now ECOA stands for the Equal Credit Opportunities Act. ECOA, Equal Credit Opportunities Act. Highlight that. Okay? And in your notes, I need you to write the following about ECOA. ECOA is about a credit application. ECOA is about a credit application. It's the Equal Credit Opportunities Act. So wherever you're taking notes, ECOA is about a credit application. ECOA is Regulation B. You have to remember that ECOA is Regulation B. It's the law that says that they must be equal when extending credit. You're going to have to remember that ECOA is Regulation B. So the way that I help you remember that ECOA is Regulation B is I want you to write that ECOA is the law that says that they must be equal when extending credit. ECOA is Regulation B. The regulators must be equal when extending credit. What does that mean? They can't discriminate because I'm female and you're male, or because I'm black and you're Latino. No, they have to be equal. ECOA is Regulation B. Sometimes if you know what the law is all about, you can figure out what letter. We're going to be talking about Regulation B, D, N, P, a whole bunch of them. B, it's the law that says that they have to be equal when extending credit. Got it? The next one is HMDA, Regulation C. HMDA, find it on your cheat sheet and highlight it. HMDA, Regulation C. Now, HMDA is the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. HMDA, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. Now, wherever you're writing notes, and I told you guys to have a separate sheet of paper for your notes, HMDA is Regulation C. HMDA is Regulation C. How do I help you remember that HMDA is Regulation C? Here we go. HMDA is the law that allows regulators to see where possible discrimination takes place. Maybe if you know what the law is all about, you can remember the letter. HMDA is the law that allows regulators to see where possible discrimination takes place. HMDA just happens to be Regulation C. It's the law that allows regulators to see where possible discrimination takes place. You're going to need more paper. So on the back or something. Okay. Now, they're also going to ask you, where is HMDA information found? Or where is HMDA information collected? HMDA information is found on Section 10. It's written like a Roman letter X. HMDA information is found on Section 10 of the 1003 loan application. Have you ever looked at the back of a loan application and there's a section that says male, female, Hispanic, not? That's the HMDA section. They might even just show you that section that says what law uses this section, Section 10 of the 1003, to identify possible discriminatory practice. HMDA. HMDA is Regulation C. It allows the regulators to see where possible discrimination takes place. Got it? ECOA is Regulation B. The regulators must be equal. HMDA is Regulation C. Allows regulators to see where possible discrimination takes place. The next one I want you to find on your sheet there and highlight is RESPA. RESPA. Now, RESPA is Regulation X. How do I help you remember that RESPA is Regulation X? I just mispronounce it. I call it REXPA, like R-E-X-P-A. So write that down. RESPA equals REXPA, R-E-X-P-A. And that can help you remember that RESPA is Regulation X. Let's call it REXPA. ECOA is Regulation B. The regulators must be equal. HMDA is Regulation C. Allows them to see where possible discrimination takes place. And RESPA, let's call it REXPA, to remember that it's Regulation X. Now the next one, find it. It's TILA. TILA. Truth in Lending Act. TILA. Truth in Lending Act. Now, TILA is Regulation Z. TILA is Regulation Z. It's one of the biggest ones we're going to go over. And because it's Regulation Z, to remember that it's Regulation Z, we call it TILA the Godzilla. TILA the Godzilla. That will help you remember that TILA is Regulation Z. TILA the Godzilla. Now, in your notes, you need to write this about TILA. TILA deals with credit, APR, and advertising of consumer loans. That's even a question. They're going to say, what law deals with credit, APR, and advertising of consumer loans? TILA, the Godzilla, Regulation Z, deals with credit, APR, and advertising of consumer loans. The next one, HIPAA. HIPAA. Find it on your cheat sheet, highlight it, and get ready for a lot of notes. HIPAA, Homeowners Protection Act. There's about 4 things I'm going to have you write down about HIPAA. So HIPAA is the Homeowners Protection Act, and it's all about PMI, private mortgage insurance. HIPAA deals with PMI. So again, 4 things that I want to have you write down about HIPAA. Number 1, HIPAA deals with PMI, not MIP. HIPAA deals with PMI, private mortgage insurance, not MIP. We'll talk about MIP when we get to FHA loans, but that's not what HIPAA is all about. HIPAA is about PMI, private mortgage insurance. Number 2, PMI is on conventional loans, not government. PMI is on conventional loans, not government. Number 3, PMI is required when the borrower puts less than 20% down. When is a borrower required to pay PMI? When they put less than 20% down payment. Then they have to pay PMI. And the last one, PMI protects the lender, not the borrower. They're going to ask you, who does PMI protect? Or who does PMI cover? PMI protects the lender, not the borrower. So those are 4 things that you have to remember about PMI. About HIPAA. HIPAA deals with PMI, not MIP. PMI is on conventional loans, not government loans. PMI is required when the borrower puts less than 20% down. And who does PMI protect? The lender, not the borrower. The next one, SAFE Act. Find SAFE Act on your list of acronyms, and then when you find it, circle the word secure, because that's what people get wrong here. They're going to ask you the SAFE Act stands for, and they're going to have their A, B, C, D. And A is going to say it stands for the Safe and Fair Enforcement Act. It does not. They're trying to trick you. Yes, it's called the SAFE Act, but what does the S stand for? Secure. Don't let them trick you. If they trick you enough, you got to go back and give them another $110. Yes, it's called the SAFE Act, but the S stands for secure. An easy one to get wrong, so don't get it wrong. If you're going to get something wrong, get something good wrong, some math or something like that. And then the next one, find it, HERA. HERA. Housing and Economic Recovery Act, HERA. You need to know that HERA is the law that created the SAFE Act. They're going to say, what law created the SAFE Act? Or what law came before the SAFE Act? HERA is the law that created the SAFE Act. Next slide. We're going to talk about FACRA. FACRA. Biggest thing that people do wrong with FACRA is they don't know what the FCRA stands for. FACRA. Fair Credit Reporting Act. FACRA. Fair Credit Reporting Act. And FACRA is Regulation V. How do I help you remember that FACRA is Regulation V? Well, FACRA is about a credit report. FACRA is about a credit report. And Regulation V, I say, don't you want to have a very good credit report? That can help you remember that FACRA is Regulation V. It's about credit reports, and I want to have a very good credit report. Now, make sure you keep this in mind. ECOA is about a credit application. FACRA is about a credit report, because they're going to try to confuse you. What law deals with a credit application? ECOA. What law deals with a credit report? FACRA. FACRA deals with credit reports and credit reporting agencies. FACRA deals with credit reports and credit reporting agencies. What do I mean when I say credit reporting agencies? Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. FACRA deals with what they can and cannot do. So FACRA is Regulation V, and it deals with credit reports and credit reporting agencies. The next one is the FACT Act. FACT Act. Again, know what the FACT stands for. FACT Act. Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction. And whenever they put an A at the end, it's just the word act. Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act. Sometimes they call it FACTA. Sometimes they call it FACT Act. It's the same thing. Now, in your notes, what is FACT Act all about? Identity theft. What law deals with identity theft? The FACT Act. Now, the FACT Act, in your notes, also has a section of rules. These rules are called Section 114 rules. Because you could get that question, what law has Section 114 rules? The FACT Act has a separate section of rules called Section 114 rules. Well, what are Section 114 rules? Here we go. Section 114 rules are red flag identity theft rules. Section 114 rules, what's another name for that? Red flag identity theft rules. There are a section of rules that if the lender sees this, packages coming back, they change their address every week, just some things that look a little weird. Those are red flags that they should check to see if there's any identity theft going on. Section 114 rules, aka red flag, aka also known as red flag identity theft rules. The next one, Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, GLBA, Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. So this law was written by 3 senators, Senator Graham, Senator Leach, Senator Bliley. A senator's job is supposed to be to protect people. So I'm trying to give you guys something to kind of make the connection. SPF. SPF, when we see SPF, we think of protection, like sun protection or skin protection. The Graham-Leach-Bliley Act has SPF. 3 laws. They begin with S, P, and F. Safeguarding, pretexting, financial privacy. So find Graham-Leach-Bliley on your cheat sheet and get ready for a lot of notes. Graham-Leach-Bliley, highlight it on your cheat sheet and get ready for a lot of notes on this one. So the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act has 3 policies. Safeguarding policy, pretexting policy, financial privacy policy. It requires 3 policies, SPF. The first one I'm going to talk about is the safeguarding policy. So they're going to ask you a question. What law says that there must be a safeguarding policy? The Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. Then they're going to say, well, what is a safeguarding policy? Here we go. A policy on how companies have to keep our credit card and personal information safe when we use it at their place of business. So I'm going to say it again. What is the safeguarding policy all about? It's a policy. The companies have to have it, just like they have to have an employee manuals and safety policies. It's another policy that they have to have on how they're going to keep our credit card and personal information safe when we use it in their place of business. When Target got in all that trouble with the credit card scams, first thing FBI said is, let us see your safeguarding policy. What do you use? What do you train your people on? When I go to Macy's or Olive Garden or Vons or whatever, and I use my credit card, I should feel safe because they have a policy on what they train their people on how to keep our credit card and personal information safe. Who says they have to have such a policy? The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. The next policy required by the law is a pretexting policy. Pretexting policy. So what is a pretexting policy? Here we go. A pretexting policy is a policy to keep others from gaining access to your information under false pretenses. And then I want you to underline the words false pretenses. So what law says they have to have a pretexting policy? The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. What is a pretexting policy? A policy to keep others from gaining access to your information under false pretenses. And I want you to underline the words false pretenses. And then here I also want you to put in parentheses, pretenders. Pretenders. It's a policy to keep others from pretending, from being you and getting into your information. Have you ever locked yourself out of your account and now it asks for your mother's maiden name or your first car, all of those security questions? Those are pretexting policies. Policies to keep people from getting into your stuff under false pretenses. If you're trying to get in your daughter's account or your client's account or your husband's account, you put in the password wrong too many times, it's going to lock you out. That's a pretexting policy. Now you're going to have to answer some security questions to get in. A policy to keep other people from getting into your stuff, from pretending from being you and getting access to your information under false pretenses. That's what a pretexting policy is. And then the last one, which is an F, financial privacy policy. They're going to say what law says that there must be a financial privacy policy? The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Well, what is a financial privacy policy? Here we go. It's a policy that governs the collection of non-public information and how it's shared with affiliates. So I'm going to repeat that. Who says that they have to have a financial privacy policy? The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. What is a financial privacy policy? A policy, no, what did I say? It governs the collection, let's start with this. It governs the collection of non-public information. And go back and highlight or underline non-public information and how it's shared with affiliates. Non-public information is information that someone couldn't Google on you. When you fill out a loan application, you may be putting your bank account numbers there, your social security number, some personal information. Well, this policy governs what they can collect on you. When I go to Chase or Wells Fargo and I fill out an application, it governs what they can collect on me and what they can share with their affiliates. All these companies, they share your information. Well, this policy governs what they can collect and what they can share. This is why you get a lot of junk mail. This is why you get a lot of spam, because they're sharing your information. I have Chase. Chase is associated with Providian. I get offers from Providian. Providian is associated with Capital One, so I get offers from them. That's why you get so much spam. That's why you get so much these flyers and stuff in your mailbox, because they share your information. But this policy governs what they can collect on you, number one, and it governs of that information what they can actually share with their affiliates. And I want you to write in parentheses here, opt in, opt out. They have to give you the opportunity to opt in or opt out of having your personal information shared. That's even a question. What law says that they have to give you an opportunity to opt in and opt out of having your personal information shared? The financial privacy portion of the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. So the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act has SPF, Safeguarding, Protecting Financial Privacy.
Is there a law prior to that?
Not sure, not on the test, so we're just doing test stuff. HOPA loans. Find HOPA on your cheat sheet and highlight it. HOPA loans. Now, HOPA, Home Ownership and Equity Protection Act, HOPA loans. I call them hard money loans, like what you would get at Cash Call or Ditech or some of the hard money lenders. Excuse me. For the exam, we only care about 2 HOPA loans. There's several out there, but we only care about 2 for the exam. HOPA Section 32, which are called high cost. I'm going to go through later what would make it a high cost loan. But right now, I need you to associate 32 with high cost. And then there's Section 35, which are high priced. Section 32 are high cost HOPA loans. Section 35 are high price. They're going to try to trick you. Remember that 35 is high price, 32 is high cost. Now, regardless of what type of HOPA loan it is, it's all a part of TILA. Remember I told you TILA is the Godzilla, and a lot of stuff comes under TILA. Okay? So they could say, HOPA loans are part of which larger law? The answer would be TILA. Section 32 loans are part of which larger law? The answer would be TILA. High cost loans are part of which large, get my point? That's how they come up with 4,000 different questions. It's the same stuff that they ask it in different ways. Got it? Now, AFBA, find it, AFBA, Affiliated Business Arrangement. And you notice I have here 1%, not 10%. 1%, not 10%. An affiliate business arrangement is a disclosure that you have to give your client if you're referring them to a business that you also have part ownership in, and now you're going to be making money off of them in that business as well. The question on the exam is, if you own more than what percent are you then required to disclose it? You're already doing a loan for me, and then I tell you, you know what, Susan, I could also use a roofer or a contractor, and you look into your wallet and you give me a card and say, hey, use this company. If you own a part of that company you're trying to get me to use, you're supposed to tell me that. That's what an affiliate business arrangement disclosure is. Again, the question on the exam is, if you own more than what percent are you then required by law to tell me? People think it's 10. They don't want to pick 1 because they think it's too low, but that's what the answer is, 1%. And then they're going to say, when must that disclosure be made? The best answer is immediately. When must the affiliate business arrangement disclosure be made? The best answer is immediately. But if immediately is not one of the options there in A, B, C, D, then the next best answer is prior to doc signing. You should let them know before they get committed. Prior to doc signing. If both immediate and prior to doc signing are in the A, B, C, D, immediate is still the best.
You know, more than 1 or 1?
1% or more.
1%.
Now this next one, Civil Rights Act. It's not on your cheat sheet, but listen to what I'm telling you about the Civil Rights Act. Any question you get, any question you get with the word Civil Rights Act, the answer is about race. And they're going to try to trick you. And if you get one of these questions, you will get the other. So listen and let's see. And it goes right over a lot of people's head. And those of you guys that took my 20-hour class, you already know this. So let the other ones try. They're going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Which of the following can you not discriminate against? Age, race, religion, all of the above. which of the following can you not discriminate against? Age, race, religion, all of the above. What's the answer? All of the above. Then you get another question, and you'll think you got a free question. Oh my God, they asked me the same question twice. But it's going to say, which of the following, according to the Civil Rights Act, can you not discriminate against? Age, race, religion, all of the above. Then you have to pick race. But that goes right over someone's head. Anyone need me to repeat that?
Yes.
Got it? Okay. So listen to me. First of all, I told you any question you get about the Civil Rights Act, the answer is going to be race. These are not the same two questions. Which of the following can you not discriminate against? Age, race, religion, all of the above. You can't discriminate against any of those. So the answer would be all of the above, right?
Yes.
Then they ask you again, or you think they're asking you the same thing. Which of the following, according to the Civil Rights Act, that specific law, can you not discriminate against? Age, race, religion, all of the above. Race. Do you get my point?
Yes.
Don't let it go over your head. And what happens is people are so anxious to finish the test, they just see which of the following and they go to D. You didn't read it. It's a little bit different. Don't be in so much of a rush. Got it? Now they do the same thing with this one. You have to know that an escrow account, well, that's the same thing as an impound account. Well, that's the same thing as a reserve account. That's the account where the lender takes the money for your taxes and insurance to put with your mortgage payment. In California, we call it an escrow account. They escrowed our taxes and insurance. Well, some states call that an impound account. They impounded our taxes and insurance, where others call it a reserve account. I had one lady that got all 3 questions on the test. She said she answered each one of them differently to make sure she got at least one right. No. They want to know, again, you're going to be able to do loans in over 48, 49 states. They want to know that you know the language. An escrow account is the same as an impound account. It's the same as a reserve account. It's the account where the lender takes the money to put your taxes and insurance so that when you make your payment, you're making one payment to cover all. Now, they will ask you what type of a mortgage did that create. Write this down. If it's escrowed, impound, or has a reserve account, what type of a mortgage did that just create? It created what's called a budget mortgage. B-U-D-G-E-T. If it's escrowed, impound, or reserved, it created a budget mortgage. Well, what the heck is a budget mortgage? Write this down. Budget mortgage equal PITI mortgage. It's just a mortgage that has budgeted for the PITI, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And when you paid that mortgage, you paid everything required with that payment. So that was our warm-up. We haven't actually started today's class. I'm going to give you guys a quick break before we actually start today's class, but you should be sufficiently warmed up. That's how it's going to go. Everything that I went over, I will go over again, but I need you guys to hear it at least 3 times. 1, I just did it. Again, I'm going to do it a little bit slowly, and then you should listen to this recording over and over and over again. That's why we give it to you. So I want to talk about the federal section. 5 sections of the exam. We're going to go